elite Chechen soldiers ambushed Russians on the territory of Russian Federation. At the same time, Ukrainians cut all the supply lines to key city in the south, and then in the east, the second Bakhmut is now fully liberated. And ultimately, Putin is about to do something which puts him at risk of being arrested. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude, and let's get straight to the point and talk about some ridiculous Russian propaganda. So, it's ridiculous, but so yeah, today we have a guy in Russia, maybe a Z-Patriot, well, most likely a Z-Patriot, because he literally shaved a Z letter in behind of his head. And the only thing I can think about when I see people like this is that like 30 minutes ago he was like, but mom, I also want to be like these cool kids, I also want to support Putin, because he's our leader, so that's why I decided to do this Z letter in the back of my head, I'm a cool kid. But to be honest, in my personal opinion, the only way for these people is to go straight to jail. But still, anyways, just let me know in the comments, will you do such a haircut? And if your answer is no, it means you are a sane person, to say the least. And in this case, you're more than welcome in the Russian Dude community. All you need to do is just to please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you don't mind, please give me a follow on Instagram as well, because we're getting very close to 7,000. The link is down below, and thank you so much. But okay, now let's talk about this thing why Putin is at risk of being arrested, and then we'll go to the south of Ukraine, where Ukrainians cut the supply lines to a major city in the south, before going to the east and talking about Chechens and liberation of the second Bakhmut. And so, coming back to Putin, he is planning to finally go outside of Russia and meet with the president of Turkey, Recep Erdogan. To be honest, this is the first time they meet since July of last year. And most likely one of the main reasons for this meeting, it is because Recep Erdogan, he wants to influence Putin to continue the participation in this Black Sea grain deal. But if you remember, more than 100 countries already issued the arrest warrant, so if Putin appears on their territory, he will be immediately arrested. But one of these countries, Turkey, is not on this list. But I mean, if you think about all the past events, it's not like that Putin was never betrayed by his quote-unquote allies, so maybe just this is an elaborated plan by Erdogan and some Western countries to smoke Putin out and at least try to arrest him or give him some warnings, to say the least. And I know that such ideas might be a way too ambitious, but I mean, if it will be way too obvious that Putin will be arrested, he will definitely not go outside of Russia. So you have to present this as an opportunity that, don't worry, Vladimir Vladimirovich, you will be safe. But okay, just several seconds more about the military support Ukraine, and then we'll finally switch to the south of the country. So, in this video, you can see this training simulator of F-16 fighter jets, which Ukrainians are set to receive in the near future, and most likely, this is exactly how part of the training will look like. To be honest, very interesting. And then Ukrainians themselves, they continue to develop new military vehicles to reduce their dependability of Western ones, such as, for example, right here you can see the demining military vehicle that Ukrainians produced. Because at this very moment it is estimated that Ukraine has a total of only 20 of such machines. That is why Ukraine needs to increase the production of them. Because after all, one of the most complicated things in this current counteroffensive is to pass the minefields that Russians spend months laying in the ground. And it is estimated that it takes approximately 8 hours to remove only 1 kilometer of minefields. And if you remember, approximately thousands of square kilometers of Ukraine are planted with full of these mines. And so yes, now as promised, let's go quickly to the south of Ukraine and talk about Ukrainians cutting all the supply lines to a key city before switching our attention to the east. And first of all, we just have to make a stop once again in Odessa, where Russians again attacked a seaport with grain storages, destroying a total of 40,000 grains, which are destined mainly to African countries. And at this point, I think it is pretty much everyone knows that Russia has been attacking these grain supplies in Odessa for the last several weeks, right after Putin was saying that no, it is Ukrainians who do this, it is Ukrainians who do not let us supply grains to Africa, China and other countries. We Russian forces, we do everything possible to help those countries. It is Ukrainians who prevent us from this help. And well, I mean, now I think you can see the true face of Putin, and it's not like it's any surprise here. Next we have to make a stop in another southern Ukrainian city called Kherson, where Russians did another artillery attack against the city center, injuring a couple of civilians. But Ukrainians, they did have their own response, such as for example, as you can see from this picture, allegedly a Russian military base located on Crimean Peninsula next to Gvardeyskaya has been also attacked. Next we refer to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which once again confirms that the main combat activities are happening between Zaporozhye and Donetsk regions and also in western Zaporozhye region. But most importantly, recently Ukrainians were able to destroy a large ammunition depot of Russians, located right here in Novoprokopivka, as you can see to the south of Robotyne, and there is literally only one road leading to this key city in the south, Robotyne. At the same time, if Ukrainians were able to reach this ammunition warehouse in Novoprokopivka, it means that this one and only road is also under fire control now by Ukrainians, which means that Robotyne, it completely lost all the resupply lines to the south of this city, which basically means as soon as Russians exhaust all their materials and resources, most likely we will see the liberation of this key city. And at the same time, if we go a little bit to the east to another major front line in Zaporozhye region, Ukrainian artillery was able to destroy a large firing position of Russians located in Zavitne Bazhania, which is, as you can see, located to the south of Staromayorsk, another key city in Zaporozhye front lines. And this firing position of Russians was responsible of destroying majority of advancing troops by Ukrainians. Well, now it's gone. And now Ukrainians have a very good chance, a window of opportunity to continue their liberation in this territory. Right, and now let's switch our attention to the east of Ukraine, where the second Bakhmut has been reportedly fully liberated. And first, we just once again have to make a stop in the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, where last night there was yet another drone attack against residential areas, as you can see from this video. And just overall, in the last 24 hours, Ukrainians were able to intercept 23 of Russian Shahed drones. And in total, in the month of July only, Russians launched 415 drones and missiles against Ukraine, and Ukrainian air defense system was able to intercept 17.6% of them. Next, we once again refer to the report by the Institute for the Study of War, which claims that Russians continue their offensive pressure along Kupiansk-Svatove-Kreminna front line, with still no advancements at all in the last several days. And Ukrainians were able to destroy several armored vehicles of Russians along with their entrenched firing position located in Kodema. At the same time, as a result of intense combat activities, Ukrainians reportedly were also able to push Russians further away from the eastern territories located in Avdiivka, as you can see located right here. But as for now, this information is not yet confirmed by this map. And as we go a little bit more to the south, we can see that Ukrainians were able to liberate a little bit of its territory to the west of Shiroka Balka. But the most important event of the last 24 hours in the east of Ukraine is that Ukrainians were able to push Russians away from so-called second Bakhmut, which is Avdiivka, from the inside and around of this city. So technically, as of right now, according to the General Staff of Ukraine, this city is fully liberated. And ultimately, as we go a little bit more to the south, we can see right here that Ukrainians were able to liberate a little bit of its territory to the north of Solotke, and then as we go to already familiar Vuhledar and Mikilske, even more territory has been liberated to the northwest of this settlement. And just overall, a total of 4 artillery units, 4 electronic warfare equipment, 6 air defense systems, and 3 ammunition warehouses of Russians have been destroyed in the last 24 hours. But wait, there is more, because Ukrainian soldiers ambushed Russians on their own territory. And the place I'm talking about here is called this small town called Sereda, located right next to Ukrainian border. We even have potentially a video of this ambush, as you can see right here, when you can see that the convoy of Russians absolutely had no chances at all. This is as much as I can show you right here on YouTube without getting demonetized, so if you want to see the full version, it will be, as always, on my Patreon. The link is down below. It is still 1 week of free access. And well, that is not the only concerning thing that happened on the territory of Russia recently, because as you go to another Russian city, Bryansk, as you can see, something spontaneously got caught on fire on the territory of this place. Maybe somebody was just smoking in an inappropriate place, or maybe this was a sabotage, either by Russians or Ukrainians. We will see soon enough. And what both of these events tell us is that the dissatisfaction and the rebellion attitude inside regular Russian soldiers and even just some regular Russian citizens, it already started to grow. The war is going on for an extended period of time, no one expected to be so long. Russia is not advancing anywhere, no achievements, no success on the front lines. Putin cannot say we captured this, we captured that, we fulfilled our goals. And all Russian citizens are seeing is that the counteroffensive of Ukrainians is happening, NATO is expanding its borders, Russia is losing more and more friends, and Ukraine becomes more widely accepted by the Western countries. So finally, I truly hope the thought process inside the minds of regular Russian civilians, it already started. And just to characterize and generalize everything, these ideas that they're having right now could be summarized as following. Something is wrong here. Could it be us who are the bad, who are the invaders? Could it be Putin who did this aggression? And this is one of the main reasons why Putin is not announcing another partial or even a general mobilization, because this time if he does it, people will not be as accepting as they used to in September of last year. So at this very moment, Putin is basically between bad and worse. If he does not announce a mobilization, he has a finite supply of soldiers and ammunition in Ukraine, but if he does, he is risking of his very own people rising against him. In one way or another, I will definitely be here to report on these events, and if you don't want to miss them, just please, you already know what to do. It's so simple, just click this subscribe button. Only takes one click, literally. The absolutely best way, this is another ridiculous thing, the absolutely best way to support my work is through my Patreon. You can also become my channel member or simply use a PayPal link. Everything can be found to the right and down below. Thank you so much for your attention, товарищи. Please follow me on Instagram, beware there are scammers in the comments, and see you tomorrow.